Bryan Passink is Alabama's radio color analyst in basketball. He's a former Crimson Tide hoopster, and been enjoying this year, and he joins us officially for the show. So let's get to the important issue. If I want 2 tickets Saturday, what am I going to have to pay?
Listen, I can't even get tickets for my family. I called my boss at CTSN. I said, I need one of two things. I need some tickets or I need a raise to be able to afford tickets. It looks like I'm getting neither. This whole Auburn playing in Birmingham thing is not helping matters. Boy, it's a tough ticket. It is a tough ticket. It's going to be wild on Thursday, assuming Alabama can beat the number 16 seed, whoever that is. My guess is Texas A&M Corpus Christi. That Saturday ticket, especially if Auburn's playing, is going to be ridiculous. I may auction off my seat next to Chris Stewart courtside. It's not that hard to be a color analyst for when Chris Stewart's calling, because he does such a good job and doesn't take many breaths. All you have to do is sit there and look pretty and hope your team wins. So I don't know. I bet I could get good money for that seat.
Not a penny under 1,000.
Oh, at least.
Yeah. I mean, look, to be with Tom Stipe, Alabama's longtime engineer. I mean, that's got to be worth something.
Priceless.
So is there a lot of talk down there of why did Auburn get a home game?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And one of the goals that I thought for this Alabama team on the year is obviously you're wanting to compete for an SEC regular season title, a tournament title, and the non-conference has been tough enough to where you're hoping with all that body of work that you're good enough to be able to play in Birmingham. It's been a long time since Birmingham was hosted the first and second round of the NCAA tournament. And this is a year that I hoped Alabama could earn that right. I tell you what, if I'm Iowa, is the better seed, the higher seed at number 8 playing Auburn in Birmingham, or
I'm pissed if I'm Auburn. I'm pissed if I'm Iowa.
Yeah, and absolutely. And Houston has an incredible year. They get a number 1 seed, and they might have to play a road game in the second round against Auburn. Kelvin Sampson has let that be known. I don't have a dog in the fight other than I'm trying to get tickets, and now it's a tougher ticket. So I guess I do have a dog in the fight. And, all right, I'm going to tell you all a secret. I'm an Alabama graduate, color analyst, played, for Alabama. Just between us, not a huge Auburn fan, personally. So
this just in.
Don't tell anybody I said that. Just wanted to be honest.
That's hilarious. So I'm trying to play amateur psychologist here. It looked to me for a couple of weeks that the rest of Alabama's team, not Brandon Miller, but the rest of them seemed to go into a little bit of a funk. And some of those games were wins, but they were not to the standard we had been used to. All of a sudden, they get to Nashville and boom, they look like the best team going. Was this simply we've put this in the background?
I think for me, and just being around these guys, players and coaches, they have handled themselves incredibly well on and off the floor. It's a great group of young men. They're mature beyond their years. And this team wasn't playing well late in the season. And the question that we had, is it because of some of the stuff that's going on around the team, or like everyone in college basketball in late February and the early March, are you tired? I mean, the season's a grind. You're playing 2 games a day. Alabama, once again, playing one of the toughest schedules in college basketball, the SEC, one of the 2 best conferences in the country. Was this team just a little tired? And what I had hoped is that 7 days off between the regular season finale in College Station and the SEC tournament quarterfinals on Friday, would this team get enough rest and get their legs under them, physically and mentally fresh for the first time in a couple of weeks, just from getting away from it standpoint. And this team was playing pretty hard, pretty focused, I thought, but shots weren't falling. And I thought the time away really helped them. And I was hopeful that they would come to Nashville and play well. I thought it was important for this team to get their swagger back. They did that against a good Mississippi State team, blowing them out. Missouri, I thought that Alabama played well, didn't shoot it well. And then to follow that up in the championship game against one of the best teams in the country, Texas A&M, and play the way they did on both ends of the floor, win the championship, do that in, avenge a loss from a week earlier, and do it in the fashion that they did. I think they're very much deserving of a number 1 seed, a number 1 overall seed, and seem to have that swagger and confidence back, which is so important in the NCAA tournament.
Bryan, last thing on my end, and then I'll turn it to Watson. I didn't have to be Hubie Brown to look out on that court and say about Brandon Miller, he's a man amongst boys. Oh, my God, was I impressed.
He's the best player in the country. He is the most mentally tough player that I've ever been around. And I'm not just talking about the stuff the off the court stuff. I'm talking about it. I've watched him play every game this year. The fact that he can start off the game, he can be 0 for 8 and nothing changes. He's playing his game. He's focused. He makes the right play at the right time. He doesn't try to do too much. He makes plays on both ends. When he's not scoring, he impacts the game in such a positive way in every other category besides scoring and shooting. And during those games, most of the time, you look up and like, okay, Brandon's just doesn't have it this game from a shooting standpoint, from a scoring standpoint. And then it clicks. He comes alive and makes plays, and he is incredible. He's an incredible player, but his mindset and mental toughness is something I've never seen.
Watson?
Yeah, just to go on with Brandon, he reminds me so much of what's the guy that just got traded to Phoenix, George?
Oh, Kevin Durant, yeah.
Oh, I mean, Kevin Durant. He reminds me of Kevin Durant so much. I remember Kevin at Texas and what he looked like. I'm not sure that he's not a little more well-rounded than Kevin was and is a little more athletic. I think he handles the ball a little better. Kevin, of course, has been a great pro along with being a great college player, but I just don't see a weakness. You watch him every game. If you see one, even part of a weakness, what is it? I just don't see it. He works really hard on defense.
Yeah, Coach, you and I are in agreement on all of it. I mean, I'm looking for a weakness. I mean, some teams play him better than others. The thing that I love about him, and I know as a coach, you coaches. I mean, and fans love this. You can limit him in certain areas, but he's going to make winning plays. He had 3 blocks the other night in a game that he didn't shoot the ball well. He's a great defender. He's a smart player, high basketball IQ, one of the best shooters in the country. But even when the shot's not falling, he's making plays in other areas. And I agree with the Kevin Durant comparison. It was a little shorter. Kevin Durant's 7 feet 7'1".
Yeah, he's a little taller, but the same athleticism and shooting ability, but he just reminds me of him. And you're right, he's a little shorter, but in some ways they may help him because that makes him a little bit more athletic, I think, than Kevin Durant.
I agree. And he's a guard. I mean, he's a legit 6'9" guard, and he is going to be a superstar in the NBA. And I can't wait to watch him. And also, so I see Kevin Durant. I see some Jason Tatum. I think he's a better ball handler than Tatum. But, I mean, those are some pretty good comparisons to the best in the business at the NBA level. But here's the thing that probably people don't know about Brandon. So, I'm around the team, get to travel with them, and I'm around the coaches, players, staff, support staff, managers, dietitians, academic people. assistants to, the bus driver, all these people around the program love Brandon Miller. And I can see why. He's such a kind, good guy. He's, talking to the academic coordinator about his grades. He's got I can't remember, I don't want to quit, but it's a really good GPA, way better than mine when I was in school. He takes academics seriously. He wants to win. He's a great teammate. He's embracing being in college. He doesn't miss class. He doesn't miss study hall. It's important to him to do the right thing and make good grades and treat people the right way. His teammates love him. The people around the program. You could go to the last manager that doesn't even get to travel and is just wiping up sweat and bringing them water. That guy loves Brandon Miller because of the way he treats him.
Yeah.
So he's a great player, but he's also a really, really good person. I've gotten to know his family. I've gotten to be around him. And as a Brandon Miller fan off the court, even more so than on the court, some of the stuff that's written can be frustrating. But the people that know him love him, and it's been fun to watch him this year.
One more thing about him, Bryan, that you see him every game, and I'm sure a bunch of practices, travel with him, the whole deal. Have they posted him down very much at all this year? Because that seems like it'd be another thing he could just eat you up at 6'9" with his athleticism. I haven't seen much of that, but I only see him in maybe the big game. So have they used him that way much at all?
They have when they put a smaller player on him. And Brandon's such a high basketball IQ guy. It doesn't need to be called from the bench. He just backs his man down, and they have to come with a double team or he scores. I mean, he's the leading freshman scorer in college basketball. He does it a lot of different ways, takes what the defense gives him. But opposing coaches are real hesitant to put a smaller guard on him because he will back him down and take him inside. And the other part of his game that's underrated is you look at Brandon, and he's a young player, freshman. He's not physically dominating. He's not a big, thick, strong type player. He's thin. He's wiry. He's really strong. I mean, he finishes through contact. He's had, I don't know how many and ones he's had this year, but he can score through contact, and he really is underrated from a strength standpoint, and that'll help him next year in the NBA.
Yeah, and he's also really good with his left hand, Bryan. Really good.
Yeah, won the South Carolina game.
Some of those off-balance shots he's put up with his left hand, I'm going, wow, that's special right there. Flip it up high on the glass and it falls right in. I mean, I just see things. One last thing quick, George, I wanted to ask him.
Sure.
You've seen him all year. What is the weakness that somebody might get to that you see with this team that might get them in a one-game deal?
Well, they don't call it madness by accident. You never know what's going to happen. There are teams that can get hot from the three-point line. Alabama defends the three well, but the team gets rolling. That scares you. I think one area that Alabama has been inconsistent with this year is ball security. They play fast, one of the fastest teams in the country, and in games that they've struggled, they've turned the ball over. Yeah. So that's an area that hurts them. And but this team has won games a lot of different ways. They've won games when Brandon Miller hasn't scored at a high level. He can go get you 35. He might get you 40. But when he hasn't, you look back to the Arkansas game. He didn't take a shot in the first half. Ends up with 12, 14 points, and Alabama beats a top 15 team on the road. He struggled against number 1 North Carolina, was in foul trouble. But Alabama won the game. So Houston did not score a field goal in that game. Another road game, number 1 team in the country at Houston. Alabama wins the game. So there's a reason why this team is the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament, because it's far from a one-man show. Brandon Miller, I think, is the best player in college basketball, but you've got Noah Clowney, Charles Bediako, Javon Quinterly's playing as well as he's played in an Alabama uniform. Mark Sears can shoot it. Jaden Bradley's a McDonald's All-American. This team has a lot of talent, a lot of players. They're unselfish. They're all about the team. And it's a big reason why they've cut down the nets twice and hope to do it a third time in Houston.
Bryan, let me just a quick deal. Is there a team out there that you privately say, I don't really want us to play them?
Well, so teams like Tennessee's a little different now with Ziegler out, but those types of teams, depending on how it's called, are dangerous. Texas A&M, obviously Alabama played well. Texas A&M, Tennessee, Mississippi State. I mean, these are teams outside of Tennessee that Alabama has played well in these last games, especially against Mississippi State and Texas A&M, beat them handily. But if you get in the NCAA tournament, the officials swallow the whistle. You get against a team like maybe Houston, even though Alabama beat them, it's just really physically tough and strong and old. And depending on how the game's being called, those are dangerous games. I'd rather see Alabama an up and down type game where, it's not a grinded out, tough, just physically tough, bumping cutters, not allowing teams to play their game. West Virginia, that could be a second round matchup. That's tricky with the way they play and their style on the defensive end. Virginia is a team that wants to really slow you down, and they're physical on the defensive end. And if shots aren't falling against teams like that, all of a sudden you may be in some trouble. But I mean, if this was the NBA and they were 7-game series, I would feel really good about Alabama getting to a Final Four. But in a one and done situation, you never know.
Yeah.
It's how it's called. It's shots falling. It's the other opponent getting hot. It is hard to win a national championship in basketball, winning 6 games. But Alabama's in great shape. They've had a great season, and right now they have a lot of confidence. And that's all you can ask going into the NCAA tournament.
Bryan, I've changed my standards. I'll take an upper deck ticket.
Me too.
Thank you.
We're all looking.
Really. Hey, thank you on very short notice for doing this.
Anytime. Enjoy being on with you guys. Appreciate y'all.
Hey, Bryan.
Same here. Bryan Passink is Alabama's color analyst on radio for basketball. Does a good job. So does Chris Stewart. Chris has done a terrific job and a tough replacement with the illness to Eli Gold. He did a wonderful job in football as well. Okay. Thanks for listening, folks. Don't leave yet, though. Make sure you like the video and smash that subscribe button. If you liked this video, you'll love all of the other free content we provide on our YouTube channel.